Hi, I'm Nat, and today I want to talk about, well, Trump walking himself back into court to turn himself in, this time not in New York, but for federal charges in Miami. So let's see what actually happened. So according to the Daily Wire, who are not big Trump fans, by the way, they say Trump turns himself in to authorities at Miami court. And there we see the hubbub looking pretty similar, but sunnier than the time in New York a few months ago. And it says former President Donald Trump surrendered to authorities Tuesday afternoon at a courthouse in Miami to face federal criminal charges in special counsel Jack Smith's investigation into his handling of sensitive U.S. government documents. Trump faces 37 felony counts in the Southern District of Florida for his alleged retention of national defense information, his alleged attempts to obstruct the investigation, and for allegedly lying to investigators. All of this, of course, still alleged. Here he is going in. And, of course, Trump pled not guilty to the 37 felony counts in documents case. Former President Donald Trump surrendered to authorities on Tuesday. Trump appeared before a federal magistrate judge, Jonathan Goodman, in the Southern District of Florida, where he pleaded not guilty to 37 felony counts for his alleged, again, retention of national defense information, his alleged attempts to obstruct the investigation, and for allegedly lying to investigators. Trump attorney Todd Blanche told the magistrate judge, "We most certainly enter a plea of not guilty." And Trump reportedly had electronic copies of his fingerprints taken by authorities, but was not placed in handcuffs and did not have a mugshot taken, still not given that picture and that moment to the Democrats' liberal side that want to see nothing more but Trump in handcuffs and with his mugshot taken. And he doesn't need a mugshot, his attorney says. And, well, of course, he's not a flight risk. He is, once again, the leading candidate of the GOP at the moment. He is going through a process that has been coordinated with Secret Service and will be handled seamlessly. And this case is a little bit, I think, harder to understand because it is a federal case, which is very different to the one that he was facing in New York, and for pretty different things. Now, I'm not a lawyer, of course, but I do listen to a lot of American lawyers, and I think one of the best and a powerhouse is Robert Barnes. So I will let him explain why this case basically makes absolutely no sense. And while a lot of people really want it to make sense and really want it to be this way for Trump to face charges, be locked up, and not be able to run, even though he still can, and he can still get elected while in jail, and he could also, technically under technicalities, even pardon himself if he does get elected. So I will let Robert Barnes take it from here. We'll watch this little clip of him, and I think it explains everything pretty clearly. If you want to see the rest of it, I will link it up here. And I would recommend to go watch it because he explains everything very, very well.
There's one core problem with all of these claims. This is the elected president of the United States. He determines if a document's classified or not. He determines a document is secret or not. He determines whether it's a government document or not. Congress can't do that. Justice Department can't do that. The intelligence community can't do that. This is an indictment saying Donald Trump used his own documents, kept his own documents, liked his own documents, and didn't want to give his own documents back. That's his constitutional right. So the problem with this case is the entire case is bogus. Instead, this is an attempt of the deep state to overturn our constitutional democracy, to say that they can tell the world when their secrets get to be disclosed. That's what this case is premised on. Donald Trump rebutting the lies of General Milley, who lied to Bob Woodward, who claimed that he had stopped Trump from waging war in Iran when it was actually Trump that stopped Milley from waging war in Iran. Now, here Milley is, by the admission of the indictment, leaking actual information that he was not entitled to disclose, that he was not entitled to declassify, that he was not entitled to declare a personal record, that is subject to national security information laws because he is a lesser official subject to those laws. And yet there has been no indictment, not even investigation of Milley, and he's still in legal office today with Republicans in Congress doing jack about it. By contrast, the president who is vested by the second article of the United States Constitution with all executive power. That means the president decides any information that comes in is classified for his benefit and his alone. It is only secret for his benefit and his alone. It is only national security information for his benefit and his alone. He can unilaterally declare anything declassified, not national security, a personal record, anytime he wants. The mere act of taking the documents with him, and let's remember, he's not taking original source documents. All of those exist because, as has been pointed out by members of Congress on a range of places, these are all digital documents, so they're digitally stored. So this is only about the president having rights to his documents as a matter of constitutional law. These are all his documents. The Presidential Records Act merely reflects that. I mean, I had these people saying, oh, he can't do this. Congress says otherwise with the national security. Imagine if Congress passed a law tomorrow that said, we hereby declare that if the president executes any of his second article duties, that is hereby a crime and goes to prison. That would be patently unconstitutional. They have no authority to limit the executive branch under Article 2. They are given zero executive enforcement powers. The unelected bureaucracy is given zero constitutional powers. They only have any powers at all because the president gave it to them. So consequently, the entire charge is nonsense. All the alleged crimes are gibberish. They are a direct attack on constitutional government in America.
And as was expected, and I think, the DNC and the Democrats have to know that this was going to happen because they saw what happened after the first indictment and arraignment and arrest of President Donald Trump. His polls went way up, as we see here from Jack Posobiec. In the 2024 Republican primary, his lead increased to 59% over Ron DeSantis' 19%, and then the rest fall down. And I should mention that only Vivek Ramaswamy, who's another potential candidate, that he's, all the way down here, but he was the only one that showed up at the Miami courthouse to show support for him. So there's not a very unified front of the GOP, but I think it would be in their favor to be a bit more unified, and I think all of their numbers would have probably climbed up, but a lot of them are just staying silent and not saying much about today. At least today, they haven't said much. They've said stuff about the indictment before, including Ron DeSantis, but nothing as of right now. And all of the claims of a political prosecution and using the judicial system to go after your political opponents is still valid. But we also saw that maybe this is a way to kind of hide and cover up a little bit more of the whole Biden crime family story that keeps leaking out and coming out, and there's more and more reports and investigations going into it. And yesterday we saw another attempt of covering up information, true, clear, valid information about what the Bidens have hiding under their carpets or in their laptops. So we saw a bunch of conservative right-leaning, some of them not even, outlets of independent media being silenced yesterday thanks to a DDoS attack. A DDoS attack is a denial of service, which means that anybody trying to go into their websites was not able to look at them. But why? And what were they trying to report on that was so unavailable for the public to see? Well, let's go back to the Daily Wire, because they're the only ones that actually made a story on this as of when I'm recording. So conservative outlets face cyber attacks after reporting on alleged recordings of Joe and Hunter Biden. Multiple right-leaning media outlets were hit with a DDoS cyber attacks just minutes after reporting on the bombshell news that a foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden has audio recordings of his conversations with them. Senator Chuck Grassley said the FBI possesses a file containing 15 recordings of conversations between a Burisma executive and Hunter Biden, and 2 recordings between the executive and then Vice President Joe Biden. Conservative outlets like the Post-Millennial, the DC Inquirer, and Human Events all said that they were targeted by cyber attacks after covering the story. Other conservative sites that reported on the revelations, including the Daily Wire, did not come under attack, and it was not clear that there was any connection. But how strange that our side would be targeted with a DDoS attack just minutes after we released breaking news that basically confirms Joe and Hunter Biden's corruption, the Post-Millennial tweeted. Human Events senior editor Jack Posobiec, whose Twitter feed we just saw, editor Jack Posobiec told podcast host Tim Pool Monday night that his team informed him that the outlet was facing a deliberate attempt to take down the website minutes after its report on Grassley's announcement was published. And so, but what is this whole thing that they're trying to report on? So, Senator reveals FBI informant file references 17 Biden audio recordings. An FBI informant claims, thank you, Jordan Peterson, we can see you later. An FBI informant claims Foreign National has more than a dozen audio recordings of conversations with President Joe Biden and his son Hunter stemming from an alleged $5 million bribery scheme involving Ukraine, a U.S. senator revealed on Monday. This is not the first time we're hearing about this, but more and more stuff keeps coming out, and they keep trying to silence it. Senator Chuck Grassley said an FD 1023 file in the FBI's possession, which has been shown to members of the House Oversight Committee with redactions, makes reference to these recordings and should be revealed to the public. Grassley has been working with Oversight Chairman James Comer, who has used subpoena power to pry more information from the FBI about the allegations. The 1023 produced to that House committee redacted reference that the Foreign National who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversation with them, 17 such recordings, he said in a speech on the Senate floor, noting he has seen the document with fewer redactions and that the oversight panel members were given. And here he is saying it. And again, there's audio recordings that we want to show, but has to be released to the public in order to do so. And just reporting on this story once again is why these conservative outlets were silenced. And I think more and more Joe Biden's feet are going to be put to the fire, and he's going to have to start answering for these things. Now, I know he knows, maybe he forgot, but he probably knows that he has these things in his past, and he's going to have to answer for them and for his son and all of the corruption that has already been revealed, but is being obscured a little bit by just putting Trump everywhere at all moments in time, just to obscure what's actually happening on the other side. And given that these are the two top presidential candidates probably for the 2024 race, well, if you want a clean race, you got to see both sides and both things that are being alleged about them. And further adding to the fire, or what might be coming down the pipeline for Joe Biden, Benny Johnson yesterday, who is an independent reporter, had on a White House whistleblower from the time Joe Biden was vice president for Obama. And now this whistleblower is alleging that Joe Biden took on the duties of overseeing Ukraine and the Ukraine conflict and Ukraine problems, fully knowing that his son Hunter Biden had just stepped into the board of Burisma, which is an energy company. And not just that, but knowing this and not disclosing it, Joe Biden agreed to send money over to Ukraine.
The 21st, I'm on a plane flying into Ukraine. This is my first flight into Ukraine with Joe Biden. Joe knows at this point that Hunter Biden is on the board. No one else knows. There's media on the plane. My job as a stenographer is to sit in the back of the plane. Who comes walking back? Jake Sullivan. He has to do a briefing as a senior administration official. I'm there recording him. The press asks, what is this energy assistance you're bringing for Ukraine? He names 4 things. 2 of them specifically relate to Burisma. One is this thing called MERP, Municipal Energy Reform Program. That's money that goes out of the USAID directly to Burisma. That's him giving them a kickback scheme. And they don't know it. They don't know that Hunter's already on the board. And then he talks about we're bringing substantial assistance for their non-conventional gas reserves. That's what Burisma was specialties of. It's fracking. They're a fracker. They're a fracking company. They're the biggest fracking operation in Ukraine, private natural gas. So both these things are going directly into Burisma's pocket from American taxpayers. Jake Sullivan says that as directed by Joe Biden, right in the front of the plane. I told this to the FBI. in February, just a few months ago, did a witness statement. FBI, I'm a witness. Here's the crime. It's public corruption. Have not heard back.
But again, those are just allegations. We'll have to see if the Oversight Committee takes it into account. But it is for sure that more and more stuff is coming out about Joe Biden at the same time that every single media outlet and every single conversation seems to be turning around Trump and what's happening with Trump. Even though, as we heard according to Robert Barnes, all of this is kind of a not valid and doesn't make much sense as to the things he's being charged with this time, much like all the other times. But one thing is for certain, and that is that the door has been open now to examine ex-presidents and the handling of sensitive information and documents that contend with national security issues. And I mean, there's a lot of ex-presidents, and there's precedents for this, that have these types of documents in their possession, to mention Bill Clinton and Obama, and essentially all of them. So they'd have to go through all of them. And now the DNC or the Democrats are giving such power also to the GOP when and if they get into power again. So in the end, once again, same as with the other indictment of Trump that recently happened and the prosecution in New York, it is not a good thing for anyone to start to break down the constitutional republic that is the United States, because they are ignoring a lot of things that are within the Constitution, and that the president has been given constitutional powers to enact and do certain things, such as the classified documents. So we'll have to keep seeing where both of these cases go and how much more ridiculous this whole situation and the 2024 presidential race is going to get, because it is just starting. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.